The cold air inside the alien warship bit like frozen fire against the skin. Metal walls throbbed with eerie blue lights that seemed alive. Heavy footsteps reverberated through the corridor as General Velza entered, tall, proud and commanding. Her silver-scaled skin shimmered under the glow, and her bright red eyes burned with raw power. Surrounding her, elite guards stood poised, each capable of killing with a single breath. Yet today, her focus was not on battle. It was on something darker, fear. In the center of the chamber stood a lone human. No armor, no weapons. His hands were bound, yet he stood unmoving, calm, silent, unyielding. His name was Cole. Velza halted mere steps before him, her voice crashing like thunder. "Human, do you comprehend where you stand?" Cole offered no reply. "This is my warship," she hissed, stalking him like a predator circling its prey. "You are my captive, and soon you will taste true fear." The guards chuckled. One struck his weapon against the floor, sparks flying. Still, Cole remained unmoved. Not a blink, not a word. Velza's eyes narrowed, suspicion flickering through her gaze. There was something unsettling about his silence. Without another word, she raised her hand. A steel door at the far end hissed open, swallowing the light. Darkness spilled into the room. A low, guttural growl rumbled through the air. The floor trembled beneath heavy approaching footsteps. From the shadows it came. A giant alien beast, 10 feet tall, covered in black spikes with burning yellow eyes. Its jaw opened wide, showing rows of sharp teeth that dripped with poison. This monster had destroyed warriors, eaten prisoners, and made entire crowds scream in terror. Today, it was here for one man. Velza smiled darkly. "Let's see how brave you are now." The beast stepped closer, its breath steaming. It roared, shaking the walls. But Cole didn't move. His eyes locked with the monster's. No panic, no shaking, no fear. Silence spread like smoke in the room. Even the guards stopped laughing. Velza stepped forward again, her voice now confused, almost whispering. "Why didn't you flinch, human?" Cole looked at her for the first time, his voice quiet but clear. "Because fear is not stronger than me." The beast paused, its growl lowered, its eyes narrowed as if unsure. It took one more step, but then stopped. Its claws scratched the metal, and its body shook. Then, to everyone's shock, it stepped back. The crowd gasped. The monster, the one called Deathbringer, was afraid. "No!" Velza muttered. "Impossible!" The beast let out a low whimper and backed away into the shadows. The steel door slammed shut behind it. Not a word was spoken. One of the guards looked at Cole, eyes wide. He didn't move. Not once. Another whispered, "Even the beast, it was scared." Velza clenched her fists. Her heart was racing, though she didn't want to admit it. She had seen many prisoners cry, scream, or beg when the monster arrived. But Cole did none of that. No fear, no weakness. She turned and shouted, "Take him to cell 9 and double the guards!" As the soldiers grabbed him, Cole didn't resist. He walked calmly, like he already knew what was happening. Velza stayed behind, standing alone in the quiet room. Her monster, the deadliest creature in her army, had backed down. It had looked into the eyes of a simple human and chosen not to fight. Her mind was full of questions. What kind of man was this? Why did the monster fear him? And deep inside, for the first time in years, General Velza felt something she hadn't felt in a long time. Doubt. Layers of force fields. No light reached inside except a dim blue glow from the ceiling. The air was thick, heavy, almost like it didn't want to be breathed. Cole sat in the center of the cell on a metal bench. Hands free now, but still calm. He stared at the wall, as if waiting for something, or someone. 2 guards stood outside, but neither of them dared look into the room for long. Something about Cole's eyes made them uneasy. One of them whispered to the other, "They say he didn't even blink. Not once. Not when the beast screamed at him." The other nodded. And the beast backed away. It's never done that before. Maybe he's not really human. That whisper was the first of many. In the halls, in the control rooms, across the ship, the rumour spread like a virus. The human showed no fear. The monster refused to fight him. Even the general looked unsure. In her chamber, General Velza slammed her fist onto a table. "I want answers!" she shouted at her top science officer, a sharp-eyed female named Laika. Laika adjusted her glowing tablet and nodded. "We've run scans on him. His body is human. Heart, bones, blood, all normal." "Then explain this," Velza growled. "My beast didn't even attack him. It trembled." Laika hesitated. Perhaps it sensed something we didn't. Something deeper. Some hidden force. Velza's red eyes narrowed. "Find it. Search his memories if you have to." That night, Laika entered Cell 9 alone. She brought with her a small floating orb. A memory probe. She didn't speak as it floated toward Cole, scanning his head with gentle beams of light. Cole didn't stop it. He just sat still and whispered, "You won't like what you see." Within seconds, the orb lit up. Images burst into Laika's screen, raw, brutal human memories. She saw Cole in a battlefield, covered in dirt and blood. Earth soldiers cried out in pain around him. A fire burned in the sky. Something huge was coming down, an alien dropship full of weapons. She saw him as a boy, hiding in ruins, his family gone. An unknown creature crawled near him, sniffing, but instead of running, the boy stood tall. The creature froze, then turned away. The images moved faster. Cole in space, locked in a cage. Cole alone on a broken moon. Cole standing before shadows that whispered promises and death. But in every memory, no matter the pain, no matter the danger, Cole never showed fear. Not once. Laika pulled back, shocked. Her voice shook. You faced worse than our monster." Cole looked at her with tired eyes. "Fear isn't new to me. It's a friend that visits often." Laika swallowed hard. "What are you?" He smiled faintly. "Just human." She left quickly. But the memory orb recorded more than just images. It recorded energy, something old and unknown. Later, Laika showed it to Velza. "There's something else," she said. "Something hiding inside him. It doesn't come from Earth. It's ancient." Velza stared at the readings. Strange symbols flashed across the screen. Symbols even she didn't recognize. Her voice dropped to a whisper. "What is buried in you, human?" The next day, the beast growled non-stop in its cage. Its handler tried to bring it food, but it wouldn't eat. It scratched at the walls, restless. When they moved it near the cell, it screamed and refused to walk. It feared Cole. Meanwhile, Cole sat alone, eyes closed, breathing slow. Inside his mind, something stirred, something not fully awake, not yet. but it watched through his eyes. It remembered the stars, the wars before time, the first scream of the void, and it waited. General Welser called a meeting with her inner circle. "We captured him as a simple Earth soldier," she said. "But this is no normal human. There's a power inside him. Even our monster won't face it." One of her advisors asked, "Should we kill him?" "No," she said, her voice sharp. "Killing him might wake whatever's sleeping inside. No, we need to understand it first." But outside the meeting room, the ship's crew had already made up their minds. "That human is cursed. He carries something not even our gods can name. He isn't afraid, because fear is afraid of him." Leica, too, had changed. She began to watch Cole through the security cameras, not with fear, but with fascination. Something about him made her question everything she had learned about power, strength, and emotion. Why didn't he flinch? Why didn't he tremble? What made him so calm in the face of death? She returned to his cell again, this time alone and without machines. "You're hiding something," she said gently. Cole opened one eye. "So are you." Leica blinked. "What do you mean?" "You fear your own people," he said. "You follow orders, but you don't believe them. You ask questions in secret. You want to know the truth." She said nothing. He leaned forward, his voice soft but chilling. "Do you know what fear really is, Leica? It's not a monster. It's a silence that grows inside those who pretend they are strong." Leica stood frozen. Something in his words touched a part of her she didn't even know existed. That night, she couldn't sleep. And the monster, it howled for hours, terrified of the man in cell 9. The door to the memory chamber slid open with a hiss. A cold mist rolled out, and inside, blue light flickered from the walls like heartbeat signals. This was the most secret part of General Welser's warship, the place where memories were not just read, but lived again. Cole was brought in by 2 guards. They didn't touch him directly. They used magnetic cuffs that floated him just above the floor. It wasn't just security, it was fear. Welser waited inside the chamber, arms crossed. Leica stood beside her, holding the neural key, a silver rod designed to enter a person's mind and project their life into holograms. But with Cole, they weren't just looking for memories. They were searching for truth, something deeper than fear, something ancient. "Begin," Welser ordered. Leica gently touched the neural key to the back of Cole's neck. At first, nothing happened. Then the room shook. The lights flickered. A low hum filled the air, like a heartbeat, deep, heavy, alive. And suddenly it began. The first memory showed Earth, ruined and burning. Buildings crumbled. Skies filled with smoke. Children ran screaming as alien machines hunted them down. In the center of it all stood a young Cole, no more than 10 years old. He was hiding behind a collapsed wall. His parents were gone. His sister had vanished. And across from him stood a creature. Not like Welser's beast, but worse. Taller. Darker. Its eyes full of void. It crept closer, smelling the fear. But Cole didn't run. He stepped forward. The creature paused. And then it turned around and left. Welser clenched her jaw. "Why didn't it kill him?" Leica whispered. "Because he wasn't afraid." The second memory showed Cole as a soldier. He stood in a trench as alien warships bombarded the ground around him. Men screamed. Lasers cut through the air. He was the only one still standing. He climbed out of the trench, stared at the sky, and walked toward the enemy lines. alone. One alien sniper fired at him and missed. Another raised a blade, but dropped it. They didn't retreat because they were outnumbered. They ran because of his eyes. The third memory was darker. Cole stood in a strange place. Space, but not space. Stars floated like frozen fireflies. A giant shadow circled him. It was made of whispers and light. Velza stepped closer to the projection. "What is that?" Laika's face turned pale. "That's not a memory. That's something else." The shadow spoke in an ancient tongue. The ship's translator failed to read it, but Cole understood. He nodded slowly in the vision. Then the shadow marked him. A symbol burned into his chest, and strange veins of light crawled through his skin. The projection flickered. Cole in the memory turned his head and looked straight at the real Velsa, watching outside. She stepped back, shaken. "Did he just see me?" Laika turned off the memory stream. "This isn't just memory, General. This is something alive, something still inside him." Cole, still seated in the chamber, slowly opened his eyes. "Now you know," he said softly. "It's not about being fearless. It's about knowing what fear truly is." Velza stared at him. "What did that shadow give you?" Cole looked up. "A choice. To break or to become something more." Laika whispered. "And you became it?" That night, the ship's systems began to fail. Lights flickered, doors locked themselves, the engines dropped to half power. The tech crew reported nothing was broken. It was like the ship was afraid. The monster in its cell refused to sleep. It stared at the wall where Cole's memory had looked through. It growled lowly and refused its food. Even Velza's highest officers began to avoid Cell 9. They took the long way around it. Some even asked for transfer to other ships. And the whispers grew. He faced the void and didn't blink. He walks like a man, but carries something beyond stars. He's not here to escape. He's waiting for something. Laika visited him again, this time without orders. "Why did the shadow choose you?" Cole looked up at her. "Because I didn't run." She nodded slowly, then asked, "What is it exactly?" Cole didn't answer right away. Then he said, "It's older than war. It once lived among stars, but it grew tired of gods who use fear as power. So it looked for someone who could stand in silence, someone who wouldn't scream even when everything around them fell apart." "And you were that someone?" "No," Cole said with a soft smile. "I was just the last one left." Laika sat down, her voice shaking. "And now?" "Now I wait," he said, "because it's coming back." She froze. "What is?" He looked her in the eye. "The thing that made your monster. The thing that made your kind. It's coming. And it remembers me." Meanwhile, General Velza stood alone in her command chamber, staring out the glass toward the stars. Her ship was strong, her army powerful, but none of it could explain what she had seen in those memories. That human was no hero. He wasn't trained to destroy planets or control ships. He simply endured. And that endurance was more dangerous than any weapon she had ever known. Then the alert rang out. A strange signal had been picked up, one not from any known planet or fleet. It was not calling to the ship. It was calling to one man, Cole. The warship, Zerak 9, drifted silently through deep space, far from any known star. It was built for war. Thick hull, plasma shields, hundreds of soldiers, and beasts that obeyed without question. But now, for the first time, the crew was afraid. Not of a new enemy. Not of an invasion. They were afraid of one human. Inside the command center, alarms blinked a strange red. Not danger, not attack. Something else. Something unknown. General Velzer stood frozen as the alien technician shouted across the room. "General, a signal! It's not from any planet or fleet we know. It's old, older than our records. And it's alive!" Velzer moved closer. "Alive?" "Yes, Commander. The signal is not just a message. It's looking for something or someone." The technician's hands flew across the console. A pattern appeared on the screen. Spirals, circles, and one clear shape, glowing at the center. A human figure. It wasn't... I guess the signal was targeting Cole directly. She clenched her jaw. "Where is it coming from?" The answer came slowly. "Unknown origin. It moves like it's searching." Velzer stared at the image. That symbol. It looked almost like the one burned into Cole's skin in the memory chamber. She turned to her officers. "Don't speak of this signal outside this room. Shut down outside communications until I say otherwise. This stays quiet." But secrets don't stay quiet for long. Down in the lower decks, the beast, the one everyone once feared, scratched and paced inside its cell. It refused food. Its muscles twitched like it sensed something coming. The handlers couldn't control it. It smashed one wall before cowering into a corner. It kept looking up, as if it knew something above was watching. And in the hallway near Cell 9, 2 guards whispered again. "Something's happening. The beast is going mad." "No, it's not mad. It knows something is coming. Something worse than it." They looked at the cell's door where Cole sat quietly beyond the force field. He wasn't asleep. He just stared ahead, calm, still, like a statue carved in silence. One of the guards asked, "How can someone be so calm when the whole ship feels like it's about to break?" The other replied softly, "Because maybe he's not waiting for us to break. Maybe he's waiting for us to see." In her private chamber, General Velzer watched the security feed. Cole's eyes were open. No fear, no confusion, only patience. She remembered the way he looked at the beast, the way the monster refused to fight. She had led armies across galaxies. She had broken empires. But one man had broken her confidence. She couldn't forget that moment. "Why didn't you flinch, human?" "Because fear is not stronger than me." The memory haunted her. She called Laika. The scientist arrived quickly, her face tired, her mind racing with new data. "General, the signal is intelligent. It's learning our systems, decoding our shields, slowly, carefully." "Is it a weapon?" "I don't think so. It doesn't want the ship, it wants him." Velzer narrowed her eyes. "And what does he want?" Laika didn't answer. Instead, she showed Velzer a scan from earlier. "I scanned his body again after the memory chamber. Look." She tapped the screen. Strange glowing veins spread under Cole's skin, barely visible to the eye, but full of unknown energy. "This wasn't here before. It's growing." Velzer turned away. Her hands trembled just slightly. "You believe he's changing?" Laika nodded. "Or waking up?" That night, Laika went to Cell 9 once more. "You feel it, don't you?" she asked quietly. Cole didn't open his eyes. "Yes. It's coming for you." "No," Cole said. "It's coming for what's inside me." Laika stepped closer, lowering her voice. "What is it, Cole? What's really inside you?" He finally looked up. His eyes weren't cold. They weren't angry. They were full of silence, as if he had seen the end of many things a long time ago. He said, "There were things that shaped stars, carved galaxies. They didn't care for war or control. They created. They watched. But some of them turned. They learned fear. and they built monsters to protect themselves. Like Velza's beast? Cole nodded. Yes, but even those monsters remember the original makers, and I carry their mark. Laika's lips parted. You were chosen? No, Cole said. I was found. Back in the command chamber, the signal changed. The technician shouted in panic. It's inside our systems now. Velza rushed forward. What do you mean? The signal? It's speaking. A robotic voice echoed through the speakers. The words were slow, heavy, and somehow sorrowful. He carries the silence. He is not your prisoner. He is your mirror. Release him or be broken. Then the ship's lights dimmed. Gravity shifted. The engines groaned, as if something massive had passed nearby. But the radar showed nothing. The signal stopped. Everyone stood frozen. Velza breathed slowly. Her hands were fists. What does it mean? He is our mirror? No one answered. But deep inside, she felt something she hated more than anything. She felt small. Later that night, she went alone to cell 9. The guard stepped aside without question. Velza stood in front of the force field and stared at the man inside. I've ruled for 70 years, she said. I've destroyed nations. I've commanded armies that burned worlds. Cole didn't move. I believed fear was the greatest power, but you made even my monster bow. Finally, he spoke. Fear is useful until it controls you. Velza's lips tightened. And what controls you? Cole stood slowly. Memory, pain, purpose. Velza stepped closer. If I release you, what happens next? He looked into her eyes. Then the stars will shift, and the galaxy will remember what it forgot long ago. She didn't understand the meaning, but something in his voice felt final. She turned away. Her fingers hovered over the panel that could unlock his cell, and she paused. Not yet, she whispered. Then she left. But she didn't see what happened next. Inside cell 9, Cole raised his hand. The mark on his chest glowed again, and the monster in its cage let out a scream of pure terror. The warship Zerak 9 floated like a lost shadow in space. Every hallway was quiet. Every soldier was tense. The air had changed. Something unseen had entered the ship, not through doors, but through fear itself. In cell 9, Cole sat in the same position, calm, still. But something around him was no longer the same. The mark on his chest, hidden beneath his shirt, was glowing faintly. His breath was slower now, not like someone resting, but like someone listening. Listening to something calling from beyond the stars. In the command chamber, General Velza stood facing the main screen. The signal that had shaken her crew hours earlier had returned, but this time it didn't speak. It simply watched. An eye-shaped symbol hovered at the center of the display, slowly spinning. It pulsed in time with Cole's mark. "What is it doing?" she asked, voice sharp. Laika was already studying it. "It's syncing with him, reading his rhythm, his thoughts. It's not threatening us. It's waiting." "For what?" Velza snapped. Laika paused. "For him to wake up." Down in the lower decks, the monster was losing control. The creature thrashed violently in its cell. Its eyes were wild with terror. Its black spikes were cracking. Its body leaked a strange blue fluid. It smashed its claws against the walls, roaring louder than ever before. But it wasn't trying to escape. It was trying to get away from something. From him. The beast's handler ran for help. "It's going berserk. It's reacting to the human. It can feel him." Back in the main deck, alarms blared. The monster had broken through one wall. It was on the loose. Cole stood inside his cell, still locked, still quiet. But his eyes were now glowing faintly, just like the mark on his chest. He could feel the beast, smell its panic, taste its fear. And then he heard its voice, not in words, but in thoughts. You carry the silence. You carry the end. I was made to fear you. The force field around his cell flickered. Then it disappeared. General Velza rushed toward the lower deck with a team of elite guards. Her boots echoed on the metal floor. Her mind raced with questions she hated. Was this what the signal warned them about? Did she wait too long? Did she underestimate the human? The hallway near Cell 9 was silent. Too silent. Then they saw it. Cole standing free, and across from him, the monster. But the creature wasn't attacking. It wasn't growling. It was bowing. Its massive body, once uncontrollable, now trembled like a child. Its head lowered. Its arms dropped. It bent one knee before Cole. Gasps spread across the guards. No, one whispered. It's submitting. Velza stepped forward, her voice shaking. How are you doing this? Cole turned slowly. His eyes, no longer fully human, glowed like dying stars. I'm not making it submit, he said softly. It remembers. Remembers what? Velza demanded. What came before fear? Suddenly, a deafening sound tore through the ship. Not mechanical, not weapon fire. A hum, so loud, so deep, it felt like it came from the bones of the galaxy itself. The ship rocked. Lights died. The gravity field flickered. On the screen in the command chamber, the spinning eye symbol cracked open and... From that symbol, something massive began to emerge. A shadow, a shape, a being of light and memory. Back near Cell 9, Laika had arrived. Her eyes went wide at what she saw. The monster knelt in silence. Cole stood like a god of old, and above him the air shimmered. What is happening to you? She asked. Cole looked at her, not coldly, but with deep sadness. You wanted to understand fear, he said. She nodded slowly. Then you must also understand what follows fear. A burst of light exploded above him. It wasn't fire. It wasn't power. It was memory, pure and ancient. It showed images in the air, giant beings creating galaxies with a touch, creatures whispering into stars, and a single human child walking among them. That child was Cole. But he hadn't been chosen. He had survived them. General Velza stepped closer. Who are you really, Cole? He turned toward her, his voice low but full of final truth. I'm what your kind forgot. I don't understand. No, he said gently, because you've ruled with fear for so long, you forgot what came before it. The silence, the endurance, the truth. Velza raised her weapon. And what truth is that? That fear doesn't make you strong. It makes you blind. The weapon in her hand fell apart, piece by piece, into dust. In that moment, every beast on the ship howled. Every screen went black except one. The eye symbol on the screen blinked once and vanished. The ship's systems restarted. The gravity returned. The lights flickered back to life. And Cole was still standing, but now something behind him stood too. A tall figure made of light and dark, wearing no face, no name. It placed its hand on Cole's shoulder. Velza stepped back in fear. What is that? Cole looked at her, calm as ever. The part of me you couldn't see. Then the being spoke. its voice not heard in ears, but felt in souls. He is not your prisoner. He is your mirror, and now your judge. The creature vanished. Cole turned to the guards. "No more cages," he said. They stepped aside without a word. Even Velza, once proud and unshaken, now stood frozen. She had seen death, war, and power, but nothing like this. Not a soldier, not a god, but something in between. And still, the question haunted her. "Why didn't you flinch, human?" And the answer whispered through the walls of the ship. "Because even monsters know when to kneel." The silence after the light faded was heavier than any scream. The monster that once ruled the warship now lay curled like a frightened pet, silent. The soldiers who once walked tall now stood with lowered weapons. Even General Velza, who had crushed rebellions and burned cities, stood frozen, staring at the man who had not raised a single hand, yet changed everything. Cole was no longer just human. Something had awakened inside him, and now something else was answering. In the command center, alarms no longer rang. The screens were still, except one. A black void shimmered at the edge of the display. Not a ship, not a star. A shape with no end, no borders. It moved slowly, like a shadow swimming through space. Laika, now trembling but determined, whispered, "The signal. It wasn't the end. It was a beginning." General Velza didn't look away from the screen. "What is that?" The technician's voice cracked. "We don't know, General. It's not solid. It's not gas. It's made of time." Time itself was bending as the shape approached. In Cell 9, or what was left of it, Cole stood beneath flickering lights. He looked calm, but his eyes were glowing brighter now, as if stars burned behind them. Laika ran to him. "It's coming for you, isn't it?" Cole nodded. "It's always been coming. What is it?" "A memory, a being older than fear, older than war." "Is it here to destroy us?" Cole looked at her kindly. "No, it's here to ask one question." "What question?" He paused. "Are you ready to remember what you lost?" The ship began to shake, not from attack, but from something deeper, like it was being touched by history itself. All lights dimmed. A strange whisper spread through every room, not in language, but in feeling. It was sadness. Then a voice filled the warship, soft, gentle, eternal. "He is the last. We gave him silence. He gave it meaning." Velza stepped back, heart pounding. "What does it mean? Who is speaking?" Laika turned to her. "It's not a threat. It's truth. They're showing us who we were before we became what we are." Outside the ship, the shadow finally took form, a giant figure with no face, just light and memory. The void behind it curled like waves. It wasn't floating. It was standing in the middle of space, waiting, calling. Cole stepped toward the main deck's viewing glass. He stood alone as every eye turned to him. Behind him, Velza followed, unsure if she came as a leader or a student. "Are you going to leave with it?" she asked. "I have to," Cole replied. "It's time." "But what about us?" Cole looked at her for a long moment. "You still think strength is in what you conquer, but I've seen what happens to empires built on fear." Velza lowered her head. "You've never been afraid?" Cole gave a small smile. "I have. Every day. But I never ran from it. The shadow outside raised its arm. A light shot forward, not a beam, but a bridge, a path made of pure memory. Cole stepped onto it. But then something unexpected happened. The light didn't just carry him. It began to shine through the ship, through the walls, through the minds of everyone on board. And with it came visions. Soldiers dropped to their knees, seeing flashes of their childhoods before they were turned into weapons. Leica saw her younger self, laughing, innocent, before fear made her hide behind science. And General Velzer saw her mother. She had forgotten her face, her voice, her warmth. But now, through the light, she saw it all. Velzer fell to one knee, eyes wide. Tears, real tears, slipped down her silver cheek. All across the ship, aliens wept, not because they were in pain, but because they had remembered something powerful, something real. Hope. Cole turned one last time, standing in the center of the glowing bridge. His voice echoed, not with volume, but with truth. You feared me because I didn't tremble. But I stood still, not because I was strong, but because I had already lost everything once. And in that loss, I found something more powerful than fear. Velzer stood. Her voice cracked. What? Cole's eyes glowed bright, like stars dying and reborn. Peace. The figure from the void stepped forward. It reached out a hand, not to take him, but to walk beside him. Together, they began to vanish into the light. Then, silence. The bridge disappeared, the shape vanished, and Cole was gone. Not destroyed, not taken, just gone, like a page turned in the book of the universe. General Velzer stood still, staring at the stars. Behind her, the monster returned to its cell, willingly. The crew, silent, returned to their posts, not with fear, but with calm. Something had changed in them. Something had awakened. She turned to Leica. "Were we defeated?" Velzer asked softly. Leica shook her head. "No, we were forgiven." Velzer closed her eyes, and for the first time in 100 years, she rested. But far beyond their ship, in a place no map could find, a new star burned in the sky. At its center stood Cole, eyes closed, breathing steady, ready for the final truth. 2 weeks had passed since the human vanished into the light. The warship Zarak 9 floated in the silence of deep space. Still fully operational, but no longer feared. Soldiers who once followed orders without question now spoke softly, walked slowly, and stared at the stars with strange wonder. The monster, once unstoppable, now rested peacefully, never growling again. And General Velzer had changed the most. She stood alone in her command chamber. No armor, no weapons. She wore a dark robe now, simple, without medals. She had not issued a single war command since the day Cole vanished. Her hands, once known for destroying empires, now trembled when she held a pen. She watched the stars each night, waiting, thinking, remembering. Leica entered quietly, holding a new report. "The crew is ready. We're close to the neutral sector. If we want to return to the Empire, we must send a signal now." Vela shook her head. "I'm not ready." Leica nodded. "They're saying your silence means weakness." "I was wrong before," Vela whispered. "I believed power came from fear. But that man, that human, he never shouted, never struck, never threatened, and yet he turned this ship upside down." Leica sat beside her. He made the monster bow. Viola smiled faintly. "Even my monster knew fear. And I still don't understand how. Suddenly, without warning, alarms began to beep again. But this time, no one panicked. The technicians checked the systems. There's no danger. It's a signal. Like his. Hearts skipped. Is it him? The symbol appeared again. The eye that once opened across every screen. This time, it blinked once, and then a new image appeared. Not a shadow, not a god, but a man. Cole. He stood at the center of a shining place, surrounded by stars moving slowly around him. He looked peaceful, stronger, and yet still himself. His voice came through clearly, no translator needed. I am not returning to fight. I did not leave to become a god, but I have learned something that must be shared. Philesa stood, her heart pounded. The screen flickered again. Behind Cole, hundreds, maybe thousands of figures began to appear. Some looked human, others didn't. Some were light, some were only shapes. They were like me, Cole said, survivors of silence. We carry memory, not weapons, and we watch. Vizar took a step forward. Why show us this? Because the galaxy has forgotten, Cole said. You rule with fear. You punish with silence. You destroy what you don't understand. But that path ends now. The screen split again. It showed different worlds, some peaceful, some burning. It showed rulers like Velza giving orders. And it showed the same rulers falling to fear when they met those who didn't flinch. You fear what you can't control, Cole continued. But fear was never meant to be a throne. In the beast chamber, the monster lifted its head. Slowly, softly, it walked to the wall and stared at the screen showing Cole. It didn't growl, it didn't move. It simply unbowed. Again. Back on the bridge, Leica whispered, He's not warning us. He's offering us something. Vela turned to her. What? Change. Vela looked back at the image of Cole. He raised his hand, and the entire warship was surrounded in light, warm, calm, and quiet. Each crew member closed their eyes, and in that moment they saw something personal, a memory they had buried, a loved one, a regret, a promise, a dream, and then the light faded. Cole's voice returned one final time. You asked me why I didn't flinch. Now you know, because those who carry peace do not fear shadows. We walk through them. The screen went dark. For a long time, no one moved. No one spoke. Then General Velza turned to the command panel and entered a new order. All war routes cancelled. Leica blinked. What? Send a message to the Empire, Vizar said firmly. Tell them the warship Zerak 9 is no longer part of their fleet. Gasps filled the room. General, what will they do? They'll send hunters, maybe worse, she said. But we will not fire first. Not again. Later that night, Velza walked alone to the beast chamber. The monster sat in the corner, calm as ever. She approached the glass slowly. I understand now, she whispered. You didn't fear him because he was dangerous. You feared him because he was free. The monster looked at her, then closed its eyes. Days passed. The warship no longer trained soldiers for conquest. It began scanning for lost colonies, helping ships in distress, repairing instead of destroying. And one day, another signal arrived. Not from Cole, from a different human ship, lost, damaged. They were afraid. Belsa herself answered the call. This is Zerak 9. We will help you. We ask for nothing. There was silence on the other end. Then the human captain asked, "Why aren't you attacking?" Valisa smiled and said softly, "Because someone once stood before me without fear. And I finally understand why." Far beyond them, on the edge of a starless void, Cole stood watching. Beside him, the ancient figure of light spoke. "You changed her." Cole nodded. "No. She changed herself. I just showed her what fear hides." The figure placed a hand on Cole's shoulder. "You were the last. But not anymore." Cole looked back at the stars. "No, not anymore." He closed his eyes and smiled.